This episode is sponsored by PAX, the gold standard in emergency response bags. So when you're working under pressure, you need kit to be both dependable, tough and intuitive, and that's exactly what you get with PAX. Every bag is handcrafted by expert tailors who understand the demands of personal care, from the high-tech, skin-friendly and environmentally responsible materials to the cutting-edge welding process that reduces seams and makes cleaning easier. PAX absolutely puts performance first. They've partnered with 3M to make perfect reflective surfaces for better visibility, and bright grey interior makes finding kit effortless and fast even in low light. With over 200 designs, PAX bags are made to suit your role, your needs and your environment. And thanks to their modular system, many bags work seamlessly together no matter the setup. PAX doesn't chase trends, their designs stay consistent, so once you know one, you know them all. And if your bag ever takes a beating, their in-house repair team will bring it back to life. PAX are built to perform, made to last. Learn more at pax.bags.com or head to the show notes for further details.
You're listening to the Pre-Hospital Care podcast on the Medics Academy Network.
Welcome back to the podcast. This is the second of two blogs we're going to look at with the author of the blogs, Wayne Auton. Wayne is a seasoned critical care paramedic and indeed advanced paramedic. He has written this blog post entitled Say Yes to the, and it really is around just opportunities and putting yourself in the position of yes, and indeed capitalizing on the opportunities which are in front of your face, but also just, not looking at the negativity bias and indeed the detrimental effects of that, but just having a growth mindset. I'm here with the author, Wayne. Welcome to the podcast.
Thanks, mate. Thanks for having me back.
It's fantastic to have you, mate, on the podcast. Just unpacking this blog, this position of yes, but not ignoring the obvious negatives, but and assessing the risks. So it's not negating the risks, but not missing out on the opportunities. Walk us through it, because clearly you've gone through this yourself a number of times, and even maybe the role you're in now, you just said yes to the opportunity. Got to get you to speak to why you wrote the blog.
Yeah, it kind of makes it sound like this super positive guy and stuff, doesn't it? Like I'll just throw myself in, but that's not the case. I think I've been told a lot, you can't do this, you can't do that, you haven't got the experience, or you've got to wait a bit, or you've got to wait a bit for that, you don't apply for this. And I was like, right now, I've had enough of that. How many opportunities have I missed? Have gone past us because I've had that mindset. So I was working for the retrieval team in Glasgow, and I was getting offered these kind of cool jobs, but I couldn't get the time off work to do them. So I was like, right, I'm going to have a bit of a career break here. I'm going to put myself in a position where whatever comes next, I'm just going to say yes to it and go off and do it. And I was mega fortunate because there was some cool jobs came off it. And I appreciate not everyone can do that. Not everyone can just take a step out of work and just say yes to whatever comes or whatever like that, So I do appreciate I was in a good position to do it, but I feel I put myself in that position. I thought I'm going to try it for a year. I'm just going to say yes to everything that comes along. Obviously, risk versus reward, and is it what I want to do? Is it the path that I want to do? But I want to be in a position where if someone says, "Do you want to go here for 2 months?" I'll be like, "Yeah, I'll do that." And it worked really well. I got offered initially an Everest job, didn't come off. That's fine. But then on the back of that, I got offered an Antarctica trip, so I sent down to Antarctica. Got back from that, and I was like, right, what's next? And then I think I was in the jungle somewhere, then the desert, and then the jungle again, then Greenland. And it's just like, oh yeah, if you say yes, there's so many. Or you put yourself in a position where you can free yourself up to say yes. There's so many opportunities out there. And I think what I was doing in that role, so I was doing all right with it. I was getting some cool trips, and then people saying, oh, I want to do what you want to do. I want to do what you want to do. I was like, yeah, but can you just say yes at short notice to go away for a period of time? And that's kind of what needs to happen on the position you need to be. Not everyone, but yeah, a lot of jobs come through like that. So yeah, bit of a rambling story there, but I just thought I'm putting myself in a position where I can just say yes to whatever comes through from now on. Saved a bit of cash, moved to France, and that was it.
Yeah, but it's equally that's powerful, actually, Wayne, because I think your story and saying yes to things has actually led you to where you are now, and actually building a CV, a diverse CV, of some amazing opportunities, showcases the ability and the breadth of your experience, which has fallen you've fallen forward into a fantastic role as to where you are now. But something you say within the blog post, and we're just about to hear it in audio format, really is around us being loss averse. And
Mm,
if actually losing £100, you say in the blog, is far more, in a way, far more detrimental, or we feel like we've lost a lot more than gaining £200. It might be pleasure for a moment or 2 moments, but actually that losing £100 might stay with you for a day, 2 days, a week. And actually this loss aversion, it's not negating that, but what it is, it's acknowledging that actually we, if at all costs, try to afford yourself the opportunity to say yes. As you said, put yourself in a position where you can take opportunity, and sometimes it's building the plane as you go. So it's using all possible avenues to just make it work. Other times it is falling forward, and sometimes falling back on previous experience for that. But something also I think you say in the blog post is, just not missing out on opportunities we're too scared to take, not
mm.
not letting your fears dictate your future. Could I get you to speak to that?
Yeah, it's I'll just go back to the kind of loss aversion type thing. It's really funny because even now, after writing that, so I missed this. I missed the Everest trip, and I'm still a bit not bitter. I'm like, oh, I wish I'd got that. But on the maybe 2, 3 weeks later, I was going to Antarctica. You know what I mean? So that was a mega trip. Yeah, I'm like, yeah, whatever. I missed that Everest trip. You know what I mean? So that losing that £100 versus finding £100 is still there in that trip. So it's really bizarre. And it's obviously hardwired into us for some reason. Um, in terms of what was that last question bit there, mate? Sorry, I jumped over.
Yeah, no worries. It's about not letting your fear dictate your future opportunity, and just not
Yeah,
not riding on that fear of I'm not qualified enough, I'm not experienced enough, or indeed I haven't got enough years service or something. Just it's just but also you say in the blog, it's not acknowledging the risk. So you acknowledge the risk, and that's fair to do that, but it's not letting your fear dictate your future.
yeah, and I've seen a lot of people kind of just fake it till they make it, and they do well out of it. And then I think people that it's not a confidence thing. I think people think, oh, right, I'm not quite there yet. I'm not quite there. There's never that right time to make that jump, to say yes, to go for it. So yeah, that kind of, I wouldn't say I faked it till I make it, but I was like, right, well, if these guys are doing it, I'm gonna go for it as well. And there is that the risk is like, whoa, I've left a full time paid job, secure job, doing it good, to go and kind of uh, try and get these trips, get paid for going on trips and looking after people, things like that. But you just have to wait up, put things in place. Like I say, I was lucky enough to be able to save enough to cover us for a short period of time, so I found something. But it's having that confidence that something will come as well. But yeah, well, even now, even just coming away to work for 2 weeks, I kind of risk assess it. I don't know if it's an age thing or what, but I'm like, oh, what could happen? The house going to be all right, all that stuff. But you just can't worry about things like that. You just got to, everything will be all right in the end. And that sounds very blasé and just like hippie-esque, but like normally things work out. The decision you make will be the right decision there and then because of the information you're provided with. So yeah, you can't, and you will hit that found £100, lost £100 kind of situation, but get over it.
Yeah. No, listen, that's fantastic. I mean, to be honest, I've found myself in countless positions like that, where you assess the risk and you take the opportunity, and it's provided for me and for you actually, Wayne. Now, I've been walked through the past few years with you, through a number of jobs, and actually you needed a circuit break, you needed a change, you needed something else, and
Mm.
it's actually worked out. And it's the same for me. I needed a change, and actually it's worked out, but by saying yes and by seizing the opportunity. Yeah.
Oh, mate, it's like I'm in an all right position here, like where I am, but I had to have the balls to go for it because I was like, oh, I'm not really that level, you know. I'm a doer. I'm a guy in the coal face. That'll do me. I'm not really the kind of the next level up. I was like, let's see what happens. Let's work out. And I'm probably as suitable for the job as most, maybe more in some cases, but you never know until you find out. Just got to go for it.
Yeah, absolutely. Wayne, absolutely. And it really comes through in this blog. So listen, you're going to hear the blog now. We would love to hear your feedback. Please do give us your feedback. We're going to put a link in the show notes to the written blog, but you're just about to hear the audio blog. Please do enjoy. Wayne, it's always a pleasure to speak with you, mate.
And you, mate. Thanks very much. Catch you soon, no doubt.
It's kind of funny how our brains work sometimes. Think about the last time you got some feedback, maybe a performance review at work or comments on something you made. You probably heard a lot of positives, right? Compliments, things you did well. But what really stuck with you? Like, what did you replay in your head later? More often than not, it's probably those one or two bits of, let's say, constructive criticism. They just echo, don't they? Sometimes for days. Well, that incredibly common experience, that's a classic example of something called negativity bias. It's this powerful quirk of human psychology where the bad things, the criticisms, the potential downsides, they just seem to hold way more weight in our minds than the good stuff.
Exactly. And that's precisely what we're going to unpack in this deep dive. We're going to explore this fascinating and sometimes kind of frustrating aspect of how we think. We'll look at where it comes from, its deep evolutionary roots, understand, how it actually impacts our lives today, personally, professionally, and crucially, we'll look at ways we can become more aware of it, how we can maybe shift towards what one of our sources calls a position of yes.
Yeah, we've gathered a stack of your sources on this, and our mission really is to distill the key ideas. Everything from just acknowledging that pull towards the negative to finding strategies to, embrace opportunity more often. It's actually pretty surprising how much this invisible force shapes our daily choices.
Okay.
So let's get right into it then. What exactly is negativity bias? Can we define it simply?
At its core, yeah. It's basically our brain's hardwired tendency to give more attention, more weight, and frankly, more emotional impact to negative experiences, negative thoughts, negative information compared to the positive stuff.
So it's not just me being a pessimist sometimes.
No, not at all. It's pretty fundamental to how we process the world around us. And what's really foundational here, looking at the sources, is the historical context. This isn't some, modern psychological invention or hang-up. The suggestion is that it's a revolutionary trait. It goes way back to when our ancestors were hunter-gatherers.
Okay, so prehistoric times.
Exactly. Imagine being out there, in the wild, quickly recognizing a threat like a rustle in the bushes. That might be the source says, a massive cat.
Right, like a saber-toothed tiger or something.
Something like that. Spotting that was absolutely critical for survival. Your brain had to be wired to prioritize danger, to notice the negative potential first. Missing a threat? Well, that could be fatal. Missing out on a slightly better berry bush? Not so much.
Okay, that makes perfect sense for survival. Avoid the tiger, stay alive. It's a pretty solid strategy, but it also sounds exhausting. If our brains are still doing that, constantly scanning for threats, how does that ancient wiring play out now? I mean, most of us aren't literally running from massive cats anymore. Does it actually maybe harm us today?
That's a really crucial point. If we connect the dots, that ancient mechanism, while it was incredibly useful then, can absolutely be detrimental today, both personally and professionally. It really does impact how we make decisions, how we motivate ourselves, even how we interact with people, and often, in ways we don't even consciously realize.
Okay, so let's talk decision-making.
Yeah.
How does it skew things there? Because you hear about risk assessment.
Right. It can seriously skew our assessment of risk. Our sources really highlight this. Even when you have two options or two potential outcomes that have sort of equal objective value, the negative one just feels heavier, more significant.
Like you might focus way more on the potential downside than the equally likely upside.
Precisely. Imagine, say, you're offered a new project at work. It could save your team a huge amount of time if it works out. Great upside.
Okay.
But if it doesn't quite work, maybe it sets you back a little bit, a smaller downside. Even if the odds are, say, 50-50, or even if the potential gain is much bigger than the potential loss, that fear of the setback might feel much more daunting. It looms larger.
Ah, that looms larger phrase. That sounds familiar. Isn't there some famous research on that?
There absolutely is. You're likely thinking of the groundbreaking work by Daniel Kahneman and Amos Tversky, Nobel Prize winners, giants in behavioral economics. They explored exactly this, calling it loss aversion. The core idea is that loss looms larger than gains.
Loss aversion.
Yeah. And it's fascinating because it's not just that we dislike losses. We feel them much more intensely, maybe even twice as intensely, as we feel an equivalent gain. So one of the classic examples they used, imagine a gamble with equal odds. You could win 200 pounds or you could lose 100 pounds.
Okay, better potential upside.
Right. The gain is double the potential loss. But many people hesitate or even refuse the gamble. Why? Because the pain of losing that 100-pound feels more significant, more emotionally impactful than the pleasure of gaining 200 pounds. We focus on what we might lose.
Wow. So our emotions really outweigh the rational calculation there.
Yeah.
And this doesn't just stop at decisions, right? What about when we're trying to, push ourselves, achieve a goal? Does this bias mess with our motivation too?
Oh, absolutely. Motivation is a big one. Research, like the study by Goldsmith and Ravi back in 2013, found our motivation can be really influenced by how a task is framed, specifically loss framing versus gain framing.
How so?
Well, it seems we might actually be more focused, maybe even more driven to complete something if we risk losing something by not doing it compared to gaining something by doing it.
Interesting. So fear of loss is a stronger motivator than hope of gain.
Often, yes. Think about working towards a goal.
Yeah.
Are you more fired up by thinking about the potential bonus you'll get, or by the fear of, say, losing out on a promotion if you don't hit your targets? Yeah, I can see that. The fear part feels more urgent sometimes.
Exactly. Our brains often seem more wired to avoid the loss. But here's the twist. That can actually be incredibly demotivating, paradoxically. If you're constantly worried about what you might have to give up, what could go wrong, rather than focusing on what you stand to gain, well, that can just paralyze you or suck the joy out of the pursuit.
Okay, so this sounds like a pretty powerful, deep-seated bias. It's shaping our decisions, our motivation. But here's the crucial question, right? The good news. We're not just stuck with this, are we? Can we actually do anything about it? How do we even begin to shift away from this default negativity?
You're absolutely right. We are definitely not stuck. And the very first step, maybe the most powerful one according to our sources, is simply awareness.
Just noticing it.
Just noticing it. It's about recognizing your own negative thoughts as they pop up. Noticing when your attention automatically zooms in on the potential downsides, the criticisms, the what-ifs. Just that act of recognition, of observing the thought rather than just being swept away by it, that's transformative. How so? What does that observation do?
It creates a little bit of space. Psychologists call it metacognitive distance. It's the space between you and the thought. Suddenly, you're not just having the negative thought, you're observing yourself having it. And that breaks the automatic emotional chain reaction. It gives you a crucial pause, a moment to choose your response instead of just reacting.
Okay, so awareness is step one, creating that little bit of space. But once we're aware, once we notice that negative spiral starting, how do we actively intervene? What can we do?
Great question. That awareness opens the door to the next strategy. Actively challenging and flipping those thoughts.
Challenging and flipping, okay.
Yeah, so instead of just letting a negative thought dictate how you feel or what you do, you question it. Ask yourself, okay, is this thought really 100% true? Is it helpful? What's another way to look at the situation? One technique highlighted is kind of like doing a pre-mortem, but in reverse. You know how teams sometimes imagine everything that could go wrong with a project beforehand?
Yeah, the pre-mortem. Plan for disaster.
Right. So flip that. Instead of just dwelling on what could go wrong if you take an opportunity, actively visualize what could go right. If you're hesitating about something, say applying for a job because you're focused on one potential negative, maybe you don't meet one qualification, perfectly consciously shift your focus. Think about the immense good that could come from saying yes, from stepping outside that comfort zone. What confidence could you gain? What skills could you learn? What doors might open up?
So actively focusing on the potential positives,
Yeah.
even forcing yourself to articulate them.
Exactly. And another really useful strategy, closely related, is what you might call mindful appreciation.
Mindful appreciation. Tell me more.
When you are experiencing something positive, maybe a small win at work, a nice moment with family, enjoying a good meal, don't just let it fly by unnoticed. Be truly mindful of it. Pause. Take a few extra seconds to really focus on it. Use your senses. What do you see, hear, smell, feel?
Like really savoring it.
Precisely. Savor it. Appreciate it fully. Feel those positive feelings. And here's the key. mentally save these positive memories, these feelings. They become like an emotional toolkit or a reservoir of positivity that you can draw on later when those negative thoughts inevitably try to creep back in. It helps create balance.
I love that idea of building a reservoir. That feels very proactive. And for something maybe even simpler, like a daily practice, our sources mention something practical. The 3 successes practice.
Yes, that's a great one. Super simple, very effective.
How does it work?
Basically, at the end of your day, maybe before bed or just as you wrap up work, take just a minute or two to deliberately think of 3 things that went well that day. 3 successes.
They don't have to be huge world-changing things, right?
Not at all. That's the point. They can be small.
Yeah.
The source gives some really good relatable examples, like, I finally linked Google Analytics to my website, or I made time to attend that interesting talk I wanted to hear, or even, I skied up a hill in my fastest time ever.
Okay, so acknowledging the small wins, too.
Exactly. The act of consciously searching for and acknowledging these successes helps retrain your brain. It shifts your focus away from the default negative scan and reinforces a pattern of noticing the good. It ends the day on a positive note.
So awareness, challenging and flipping, mindful appreciation, and the 3 successes, that's a solid toolkit.
It really is. Now, going back to that phrase, being in a position of yes, it's important we clarify what that truly means.
Right, because it could sound a bit Pollyanna-ish. Like just ignoring risks.
Exactly, and that's not it at all. Being in a position of yes isn't about becoming naive or blindly optimistic. It's definitely not about ignoring genuine dangers or obvious red flags.
So what is it about then?
It's about assessing risk fairly.
Right.
It's about making decisions with a clear view, without the distorting, exaggerating influence of that negativity bias constantly whispering worst-case scenarios in your ear. It's about bringing balance back to your internal risk assessment process, seeing both sides more clearly.
That makes so much sense. Because what really stands out to me, thinking about this, is how often that disproportionate fear, that overblown worst-case scenario, just stops us cold. It prevents us from taking any action at all. Like the sources point out, it's often what holds us back from applying for that dream job we're mostly qualified for.
Right.
Or taking up a new hobby that seems intimidating.
Yeah.
Asking someone out. Even exploring those slightly more adventurous holidays that aren't perfectly predictable. It's not usually a literal saber-toothed tiger we're afraid of anymore, but that perceived negative outcome feels just as paralyzing sometimes. We let it completely dominate the decision. I remember once almost not applying for a competitive program. I kept fixating on this one essay question I found really hard, totally ignoring all the other skills and experiences I had that were actually a great fit. The fear of failing that one part almost stopped me entirely.
That's such a perfect example, and it really leads to an important question for you, the listener, to consider. When you find yourself fixating on a worst-case scenario, ask yourself honestly, how likely is that really? What are the actual odds? Often they're much lower than our biased brain makes them feel. And then flip the script. Instead of dwelling on that worst case, which our brains naturally gravitate towards, what if you started asking yourself, with real curiosity, okay, what's the absolute best that could happen here? What's the potential upside if I actually say yes?
Right. Shifting the focus from fear to possibility. So let's try and bring this all together. What's the main takeaway here? Understanding negativity bias. It isn't about trying to ignore challenges or pretend everything's perfect. That's not realistic. But it is about recognizing how our brains are wired, acknowledging that ancient survival mechanism is still operating. And knowing that can empower us, right? It allows us to make clearer, more balanced decisions. It can help us see and seize incredible opportunities that our ingrained bias might otherwise keep hidden in the shadows of what if it goes wrong.
Absolutely. It's about regaining control over that automatic negative filter. So perhaps a final thought for you to reflect on after this deep dive. Think about something you've hesitated on recently, something you've held back from. Maybe it's a project, a conversation, a new skill, a travel plan, something where you found yourself mostly fixated on the worst-case scenario. Now, consciously ask yourself, what's the absolute best thing that could happen if you decided to lean in to say yes to it? What new experiences, what learning, what personal growth might you unlock simply by shifting that focus even just a little?
That's a powerful question to end on. We really hope this deep dive helps you unlock a new perspective on those everyday choices, maybe helps you navigate them with a clearer, more balanced vision, and perhaps helps you find your own position of yes more often.
You're listening to the Pre-Hospital Care podcast on the Medics Academy Network.